Alright, so today we'll be talking about the law of cause and effect, how it can apply to sales, how it does apply to sales, how it can help you in sales, because honestly, everything that helps you in sales helps you in life and vice versa. And I'm going to try and keep this to like 15 minutes because honestly, I could talk about this forever. But a Google definition is the law of cause and effect states that every action, event, or condition leads to a specific inevitable result or consequence. So, for example, if you were to jump off the Empire State Building, you're guaranteed to die. The cause was jumping off of the skyscraper, the effect was dying. And the law of cause and effect is pretty much the backbone of logic. Now, I'm just going to say the law is a system, and it's the system behind everything. Now, this is more of like a philosophical worldview. It's called determinism. And determinism is not something that I've really like researched and studied, but I think it's something that I just naturally have that worldview where I kind of look at the world as things that are happening, and it's happening for whatever reason. And that reason can be hidden. The reason could be very obvious. Most of the time, the reasons are hidden. So, how it applies to sales. I could give plenty of examples how it applies to sales, but the whole goal of adopting this mind frame is honestly to keep you emotionally stable. And I guess in a way stoic, because I believe like when you're stoic, you can knock more doors, have more opportunities, and make more sales. So I'll give one example in sales. Let's say you knock a homeowner's door and they come out blasted, mad as hell. Now, before you even said anything, there's just some cause that's affecting this person's mood, which drops your chances of actually getting a sale. Now you're dealing with the effects of it, which is anger, reduced reception, and honestly, sometimes an attempt to bring your mood down as well. So you can do one of two things. You can either deal with the effects of it, all that anger and shit, and argue with them. Spend a lot of energy trying to figure out how to bring this person from whatever state they're in to the state that they need to be in for you to get the sale. Or you could do the second thing, which is honestly just to move on. Now, here's the problem with the first one. Most of the time, a homeowner is not going to just tell you like, yeah, my father just died, or I just went through a very bad divorce, or the actual cause of what's happening. You're just dealing with the effects repeatedly. And a lot of the time, they're not going to fully shut you down or shut you off. They're still going to engage with you, but you as a sales rep having to get to so many doors, it brings you down and keeps you away from doing your job effectively. So that's why I don't really believe in actually dealing with the effects and like actually trying to overcome this person's whatever mood this person is in. When you just move on, you now change your effort towards a different cause. So now the next person could be in the same exact mood. You recognize it, you move on instead of engaging. Now the next person, let's say they were in a very, very good mood. Extremely good mood. Like they just bought something, they got a promotion, whatever. Now there's a cause outside of you that's heavily increasing your chances of getting that sale. Boom. Now you're with this person, lay down. They needed the internet. They needed the sale. They needed the product. They needed whatever it was. Now, out of these three people that you just spoke to, you could have spent all of your time with this one person and not make it anywhere. There is a cause outside of your control that's dropping your chances of getting the sale. But instead, you moved on to someone else that has a better cause that's affecting their chances of you getting the sale, and you got the sale. Now, when it comes to these people, you'll start to realize in specific turfs, there are patterns. Now, this pattern is something that you could use that law for as well. Now, let's just say you were to knock a turf. I'm going to keep this video very short. Let's say you're knocking a turf and everybody is mad. But you've worked this turf before. Like, it was never like this before. So instead of trying to figure out the effects of it, which is everybody is mad, now you're trying to alter your pitch, alter your presentation, and alter everything about you. You figure out what the cause of this turf is. And I'll say in this turf, there was some pest control scammer going around pissing everybody off. And now you knocked right after him, and now you're dealing the effects of that cause. When you have the mindset of trying to address the cause rather than trying to address the effects of it, you figure out, okay, there's a person. Let me figure out why everybody is mad. You knock somebody's door, they come out mad as fuck. Yo, honestly, dog, I've been knocking this neighborhood for the past couple of hours. Seems like everybody's upset for some reason. Can you just tell me like what's going on in the neighborhood? Is there something wrong, like politically? Is there something wrong with somebody going around the neighborhood? And they tell you that there was a pest control guy that was scamming people, pissing on their yards, whatever, just pissing people off. Now use that to your advantage. Okay, there's a pest control guy. Okay, next person's door I knock. Okay, hey, I know there was like some pest control guy coming around. Hey, I'm not with that. I don't even understand why he was doing that. But here's what I got going on, or maybe ask them about it. Like, hey, tell me more about what's going on. And then basically you're acknowledging the problem before it actually surfaces and affects you, which you can use to your advantage to get further inside of the sale. Or if it's really unworkable, you just move on to a different turf, because that already happened. Now the cause has been placed, the effects are now happening. That's one example in sales, how addressing the cause rather than the effects leads to a much more measurable and scalable outcome than just focusing on the effects. Now, outside of sales, let's say we were to apply this to, honestly, modern medicine, because modern medicine addresses the symptoms of a disease or an illness rather than fixing the root cause. Let's say you had a chronic bloody nose. Now, you went to your doctor, you asked them like, hey, I have this chronic bloody nose, help me. And the doctor prescribed you this medicine that stops you from having this bloody nose. Or let's just say you don't even trust the doctor. You have this bloody nose, you're focusing on the bloody nose, and now you're researching the best tissues to absorb the blood from your nose, the best nasal sprays to slow down the bloody nose. These are all examples of focusing on the effects of something rather than the cause. Now, adopting the mindset of, I have a bloody nose. Why do I have a bloody nose? Let's research why I even have this. Okay, dehydration. Okay, let me figure it out. I haven't really been keeping up with my water recently. Like, I've been knocking in this 110 degree heat, and I just kept forgetting to drink more water. So I'm gonna just keep on drinking more water and then come back to see if the problem is solved. Now, you go ahead, you start drinking more water, and you realize the bloody nose is gone. Oh, it was the dehydration that has been causing this bloody nose. Now, you have allocated the same amount of effort and energy, honestly a lot less of it, towards the cause that got rid of the issue entirely rather than focusing on the effects and just continually doing it. Now, when you extrapolate this over the long term, it's like you kept spending all this time and energy on the effects of something without ever making progress. It's almost like running on a treadmill. It's like almost like a rat race type of scenario. And honestly, you can really apply this to everything. Let's just say you spend $5,000 a month and you make $5,000 a month and you want $1,000 a month in savings. Rather than figuring out how to make an additional $1,000 a month, you should be figuring out, why are you living paycheck to paycheck on $60,000 a year? So now you audit your lifestyle, you audit your spending, and you realize you have this credit card balance that's charging you $1,000 a month in interest, for example. Boom. So now you dedicate your time and energy towards paying off this balance that got you this $1,000 a month in savings without focusing on trying to make $1,000 extra per month. Because especially when it comes to finances, when you focus on trying to make more money when you're living paycheck to paycheck, all you're doing is dragging the problem out. Because once you make that additional $1,000 a month, you're gonna go right back to going paycheck to paycheck because you never addressed the cause. All you did was address the effects of it and trying to fix the effects, but the cause is still there hidden, giving you those negative outcomes. But like I said, it's time to keep this under 15 minutes. I would say more examples related to sales. You work a turf, you realize the pattern in the turf, realize there's a cause that's just outside of your control, outside of your understanding, that you should be trying to figure out the actual cause of it instead of actually trying to figure out the effects. So going back to that same neighborhood example, let's say you're knocking in, I'm not trying to expose too much. Let's say you're knocking in Springfield, and Springfield is just awful. You keep on running into very unreceptive customers, and they're all giving you like very similar responses. Rather than you like trying to kill yourself, trying to change your presentation that has been working your entire life, rather than you trying to change your presentation, you be trying to figure out what is it about Springfield that makes it so unreceptive. What is the demographics? What is the average home value? How old is the home? How old are the people? What time of the year is it? Is it back to school? Is it vacation time? What happened politically in this neighborhood? What happened with this? What happened in this specific neighborhood that everybody keeps on doing, like keeps on having a similar response? When you start addressing that part, trust me, you'll be a lot better equipped to maneuver yourself towards actually getting better and better results. And honestly, I was thinking about this earlier. Like, think about this pen. The law of cause and effect pretty much states that the cause, which is down here, creates the effect, which is up here. Because it's a straight line. Something happens, and then this is a result of it. You're dehydrated, you have these amount of symptoms, which is a bloody nose. You have this sickness, and then you have this, like, that's pretty much what it is. So when you actually like think about it, right? I'm gonna keep on using this sickness example because it's a lot easier to visualize. Because when you're dehydrated, you don't only have a bloody nose, for example. You'll have a bloody nose, you'll have dry mouth, you'll have brain fog, right? So kind of look at this pen. You'll have all these different symptoms because they kind of branch out. But they all branch out from the same exact cause, which is just one thing. one thing causing a multitude of effects. Now, addressing, let's just say, the bloody nose. This is how much wiggle room you have. Just focus on this part all the way to the top. This is how much wiggle room you have. I'll cover that. When you focus on the effects, that's the trajectory of your problem and you actually solving it. When you focus on the cause of it, which is the dehydration, you start drinking water, look how much more wiggle room you have. All that wiggle room you have, all those other effects just disappear. The bloody nose, the dry mouth, and I forgot what the third one was. But that's just like a visual example of like when you address the actual cause of it rather than addressing just the effects of it. You just have a lot more leverage. But yeah, 15 minutes, like I said, that's what's on my mind. Law of cause and effect, and how it's pretty much a system. And when you start addressing the symptoms of everything, you start to realize how much more things you have leverage over, which just leads to just way bigger, scalable results. But yeah, that's it. Hope this helps. Catch y'all on the flip side.